I've never asked you this on air, off the air. I'll ask you here. Is there anything you want to call that if you had a choice, you know what? I've never called this event, but I would do it. What would that be?
You know, Rich, there is nothing because I've been blessed, Super Bowl and World Series and NBA Finals and, hosted the Stanley Cup Finals and the Olympics and Hagler, Hearns, and it's crazy. So somebody said to me once, what about the World Cup, soccer?
Yeah.
And I said, well, I've never been to a soccer game, so I don't think I'm going to start by announcing the World Cup. I mean, that's not going to happen.
You've never been to a soccer game?
I've never been to a soccer game. I've been to when my son was playing soccer when he was 10 years old.
No, sure.
I went to
Youth soccer.
No, but
Right.
I've never been to a soccer game. I haven't. So what else? I mean, look, I'm the guy who's done motorcycles on ice in Germany, right?
What?
There was an event on Wide World of Sports. It was a staple for years. We'd go over to Innsel, West Germany, a little town in the Bavarian Alps between Munich and Salzburg, Austria. Uh-huh. And these guys would ride motorcycles with spikes protruding on a speed skating rink, a quarter mile. Yeah. And it was all Eastern Europeans, all Czechoslovakians and the Soviets and the Poles. And that was one of my first ever assignments at Wide World of Sports.
Well, how do you call something like that? And they're coming around the end.
Yeah, you're making it up. Well, I mean, who knows who anybody is, right? But it was just the wildness of it. See, that's what Wide World of Sports was. It brought you to places you couldn't go, and it seems so ridiculous right now. But remember, that was the days of satellite television.
Yeah.
So Wide World would take you to places you'd never been before. Boxing in Moscow, boxing in Cuba. I was in Cuba in 1983 calling the U.S. against the Cubans in amateur boxing. And every other year, Fidel Castro would show up, and you had to be ready to interview him. He did not show up the year that I did it.
Right.
But you would be able to go to places that you couldn't get to. And certainly on television, that was the advent of satellite technology. So Wide World took you truly around the world.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw the movie Ford versus Ferrari. I don't know if you saw that, but that was...
I met the writer the other night. That's so funny.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, but I knew Carroll Shelby. I've got to see that movie. I have to.
It really is very well done, and there's a lot of, ABC Sports was there, and
sure.
I'm sure there's probably a great Roone Arledge story behind that sort of thing.
Oh, yeah.
What would he think of today's television industry, do you think?
He would have evolved. I mean, Roone was a master. He figured Roone was, remember, he's the guy that created Up Close and Personal. And Roone's theory was, and he hired me at ABC, and he was my boss for 10 years, and then he went to News Only. His feeling was, look, games, there's a similarity to the games, but what makes each game distinct are the people and the personalities. So especially in the Olympics, what he was able to do was make gymnastics and figure skating and some of the other sports that are not secondary sports, but not baseball and football and basketball, make them more relevant. I mean, he really created this whole gymnastics genre because he had Nadia Comaneci, Olga Korbut, and all of those people from that era, and he made them people. You understood their backstories. And that was what it was all about in those years. It was, who are these people, and why should I be interested in them, and who do I root for? Who do I root against? And so, look, we all who grew up under Roone, in a way, learned a lot from Roone Arledge. And, I mean, to this day, a lot of what he put in place is still around.
There's no doubt about it. I mean, Olympics and you calling 10 Super Bowls as you have, and Sunday Night Football and Monday Night Football. I mean, those are the premium events you want to call as a broadcaster, and they still are. Right now, in television.
He was. Look, I mean, he was one of the iconic figures, not only in television, but I mean, just the way it went beyond television. Because, like I said, he's the guy that kind of brought you to places you couldn't go before.
Right.
I mean, it sounds so ridiculous right now when I can get on a phone right here and talk to somebody
like Collinsworth,
like Collinsworth in Bulgaria. But in those years, it was so different.
For more of The Rich Eisen Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV for free on BR Live or download the Rich Eisen Show app.